Hi, everyone. This is Sharon Buck, and I have with me today, joining me, a good friend and colleague, Ilsa Comte Adair. And she's over in Boulder, Colorado, and I'm in Seattle, Washington area. And we've actually never personally met. Met, in the same physical space, but we've met a lot of times over the airwaves. And I just love Ilsa and what she has to share, her great wisdom. And I feel privileged. I get emotional because I feel that she is really a light to me. And I'm so grateful that you're in my life.
Same.
Yeah, so this journey of an entrepreneur is challenging. And so I thought I would ask another entrepreneur who's journeyed with me on a lot of this. And so Ilsa is a psychotherapist and a soulful success coach. And can you describe a little more of what you do, Ilsa?
Sure. So I've been working with folks, helping them transform for almost 20 years at this point. And towards, over the last 8 years, my work is focused a lot of to entrepreneurs, first as a therapist, and then actually with strategy. And so I've moved my work to essentially help soulful entrepreneurs, healers, and coaches to find their own unique way to create more clients, more impact, more money, and a lot more joy and enjoyment and ease in their own business. So that's what I do.
Yeah, and I'm all about that too, and in my sphere of working with people in their energy fields, working to get more in touch with, who it is they are, who they want to be, and removing some of those blocks to feeling more of that in their life and in their business. I mean, they're both connected. If we're not happy and fulfilled in our life, that spills over into our business. Wouldn't you agree?
I mean, I think that's totally correct. I actually don't think you can have a successful business if you're not enjoying the journey, and if it's not impacting your life in all areas of your life from a really positive, fulfilling standpoint. And I think that's actually a lot of where entrepreneurs get stuck is they start a business to impact the world, to have more freedom, to spend more time with their families, to spend more time doing what they love, and to share in what they love with people. And they end up really bogged down and not having a great time doing it and feeling stuck and overwhelmed and resentful. So, absolutely. I think like the two are intertwined. And, I have a saying, if you're not having a great time, if you're not loving it, then it's not success.
Right, and that's gonna be different for everybody. So what's right for me may not be right for you, may not be right for your neighbor. It's kind of a messy business figuring out, what it is, right? And what direction to go and what's right for you.
Yep.
So
And I actually think that that's a major issue in the business coaching industry, and especially with soulful entrepreneurs and with healers and soulful spiritual coaches, is that we tend to follow coaches that are very comfortable with one or two strategies on how to grow their business and how to get clients and how to put our work out there. And in the end, if it's not aligned with us, if it doesn't feel authentic and integrity, if it doesn't feel good to us, then it's not going to work. We could have the perfect strategy. We could actually even put it out and carry it out perfectly. But if it doesn't feel good to us, if it's not aligned with our soul in some way, then it's not going to work. So a lot of the work is trusting our own gut, trusting our own heart, trusting our own passion for what we do, and finding our own unique way to make it work for us.
totally, I'm with you on that, as you know. I mean, there's lots of advice to be had out there, and a lot of it doesn't apply to a lot of people. I mean, it's a little bit like teaching singing, somebody discovers what works for them, and they sing really well with this approach, and then they teach it to everybody else, just like a cookie cutter approach, and it usually doesn't work. It usually doesn't, because every individual has their own unique voice, literally, physically. and then you start trying to put them into this box of sounding like somebody else, it just doesn't work. And people pick up on that, and it just doesn't, there's no success in that. So I really know that from my perspective in working with people as well. So yeah, I mean, how much do you think the old wounds play into all of this too?
I mean, I think being an entrepreneur is going to trigger all our shit. I enjoy saying that, outside of marriage, which I think can really push our buttons, starting a business really pushes everything that is very intimate and personal in us. Like all the wounds around visibility, rejection, not being good enough, not being worthy, not being able, not having what it takes, like all that stuff, people not wanting us or not wanting what we have to offer or not valuing us, feeling and unappreciated or taken advantage of. All of that will actually come up when we start a business and we start sharing our gifts. Our gifts are so personal. We feel so, I mean, it's part of, we're not just sharing a skill that we have, we're sharing our soul. We're sharing something that is ingrained in who we are and how we show up in the world and what we feel we have to offer the world. And when it doesn't get either appreciated or noticed right away, or we're not quite finding our message or our voice, and it takes a while. That's the thing with being an entrepreneur, is it takes a tremendous amount of courage to show up in ways that don't always feel natural to us, especially a lot of those, the people you work with, the people I work with, they are introverts, they are sensitive. And so absolutely, I think it can take an outrageous amount of courage to move through these blocks, and resistance will show up. We will be triggered in all sorts of ways.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally true for me. I mean, I've really had to push the envelope in terms of being visible and dealing with rejection. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I hated auditioning as a singer. It's one of those things that out in the virtual world, you just don't get a good read on, how people are taking things. But even in person, it's a challenge. So it definitely, and I know for empaths and introverts, sensitive people, especially like you say, working with those people and being one myself, it just hits a nerve. And so there's this pattern, and I see this working with people all the time energetically, that oftentimes, most 99% of the time, those spots are in their story, in their life, like a record of their lives, and it keeps replaying and replaying and replaying out in their life and in their business too. I mean, they're not separate. People keep compartmentalizing. It's like the body and the mind, the emotions. I've long thought that they're connected. Why separate them? Why, when you go to a doctor, do they just look at the physical? You know, we're whole beings. So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, I think that's true. I remember, Sharon and I go back quite a while in our own entrepreneur journey, and seeing, there was a while back where, the idea of going live was terrifying to me. And I struggled with it. I would over and over plan. I would have panic attacks before going live. And I remember working with Sharon around this piece of visibility. And when she was working with me doing biofield tuning, I could sense pockets, and she was intuitive. She could sense, she's like, oh, something happened around that age, or something happened around that, or I'm getting something around that. And she brought up all sorts of stuff that I had even forgotten around shame and visibility. And it wasn't, I mean, I don't know how long it was, but maybe within a few weeks of us working together, I was going live regularly. And now I go live a lot of the time, 2 to 3 times a week, doing like relatively long trainings. So, there's no doubt that you could sense in my body where those blocks were. And it's in our past, it's in our body, it's in our soul in some ways. And I think this is the beauty of being an entrepreneur in some ways. Like, we can look at these wounds and these resistance and these blocks as something that's in the way. But the way I look at it is when they show up in our business, it's literally an opportunity for us to free up something that we have not had access to before. This is a very special environment where you need to go live and essentially sell yourself and share your gifts with people before they actually, and many times online, before they pay you, you have to go and share and be of service and be in your passion. And so when you're doing that, all these old wounds are going to show up. And that's when we need people like Sharon who are going to help us not just up here, like find our way through them. I mean, I think that can be helpful having the right mindset, the right thought, but that actually doesn't take it far enough. And that's one of the things I see with a lot of the mindset work that is happening in entrepreneurs is it leaves off trauma work, emotional work, energetic work that is necessary to actually relieve these wounds so that we can use that energy that's caught up in that knot to propel us forward and to really be in our purpose and share from that place of what I call sovereignty.
That just totally makes sense to me, Elsa, and I appreciate your kind words about our work together. I think it was actually one session, um, but one of these things that I've discovered over and over again, like somebody had been seeing me, was super, depressed. Everything was going wrong in their life, and the main complaint actually was lack of energy. And sure enough, as I've been working through the chakras, what do we see? More energy, more passion, more creativity coming, more opportunities coming this person's way. I mean, it's all happening because we're just releasing one chakra at a time. Any blockages, I'm kind of with this new program that I've got called Courage to Shine. We go through the chakras, starting at the root, moving on up. And it's just amazing to me always to see the shifts in people, and it's real. It's not woo. I actually talked to somebody else who said people need to know more about biofield tuning because it really isn't woo. It really is based in science. We're finding more and more that we don't think twice about listening to music and having it shift. Now, just imagine if it was a song especially written for you that actually unlocked your blocks. I mean, that's kind of what it feels like. It seems too good to be true, but it really does work that way. So
I mean, I've seen you have amazing, Sharon and I have been on some programs together, business coaching programs, and I've seen her work on some of our colleagues. And with one session, I mean, I'm not going to name any names, but I remember this person who was like, she had no business, no clients were not renewing. You worked, same thing, she was depressed, low energy. You worked with her, she shifted a little something, and had more creativity. And suddenly within a week or two, she had doubled her business almost. And I think that was directly related to you working with her and moving through the blocks that we have that essentially create resistance, create self-sabotage. The bottom line, we talk a lot about business, and yes, business is strategy. There's no doubt that we need to figure out what works for us so that and what's going to be sustainable and enjoyable long term for us. But the truth is you could have the right strategy. If your energy is off, it will not convert. You will not be able to make it work. So this idea of we need to become the person who will attract the client. It's like we don't become confident once the client come. We become confident. We step in our power, we step in our authority, we embody our passion, our purpose, and then the clients come.
that's so true. I'll never forget the therapist who, when I was, suffering from a breakup and thinking I'd never find Mr. Right, well, she said, be the princess and the prince will appear. And that was a very simplified way of putting it, but that's kind of on topic there where you were just talking. And yeah, it does take courage. And that's one of the things that I love about you, Ilsa, is you just really go out there and do it. And it's, one of the things that I'd like to know is what does it feel like for you when you're in that powerful place? That's,
So
that's tying in with the other question I had, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'll say this. I think all of us, and I think it's important to know that we all have moments of feeling off as entrepreneurs, feelings overwhelmed, feeling frustrated, feeling in resistance, feeling tired, drained, all of that. And so, this is where passion comes in, because I think that it is the passion for the work. It is the passion for service and for sharing. In some ways we are the stewards of our gift that carries us through that. And so this place of sovereignty, um, I like to think of it like the sea. When I step into this place, it's interesting. Most of you can't see that because now we're all online. But I'm 4 foot 8 and 80 pounds. And interestingly, when I think of this place of sovereignty, she's huge. She's like a tower. She's really tall. She stands tall. And so for me, like, she's a little bit this sovereign self, this sovereign entrepreneur that I embody, that I step into, is a little bit like the ocean. She is grounded, she is deep, she's expansive, she is her own master. And there is an edge of passion and purpose in there. And so I think for a lot of the work that I do in terms of the more mindset aspect is helping my clients really connect to what that sovereignty feels like in themselves so that they can show up even when they're drained, even when they're overwhelmed, even when they're super frustrated or disappointed or whatever it may be. They can step into that and show up and serve without even expecting anything back from that place, just from a place of groundedness, of centeredness, of openness, of expansiveness, and serve from there.
Once again, I see our common threads here between the work I do and you do, because you do that so well in your sphere, and I'm doing that in a way with the energetic sphere,
Mm-hmm.
and I know you do energy work too, right? So that's part of your background that you bring, because I know your clients are doing really, really well, the ones that have the privilege to work with you.
I do some energy work. I do one of my weird woo things is I do journeys with my clients. So I will help them journey to their sovereign self. I will help them journey to a mentor or a guide or a future embodiment of who they're going to become so they can get the answers they need. And yes, I will do some energy work, but nothing like what you do. And like you were talking about the chakras and going up, I think like that's an amazing journey to look at. When you think of the chakras, like at every place, like the first chakra, there's a lot about safety in there. Like as an entrepreneur, for us to find our voice, for us to show up, we need to feel safe. And then there's the passion, and there's the power, and there's the heart, and there's the voice, and there's the vision. It's almost like we need all these things in place, and we need them opened and aligned so that we can really step into what we were born to do, what we were born to share, and to do it powerfully, to do it courageously, to do it unapologetically, um, and consistently.
The thing that struck me as you were talking was that I feel I can do that in my work. What's hard to do is to communicate it on the social media. That, and as a healer, it just seemed, because there's so many things it can address and can help. I've helped all kinds of people with physical ailments that came for me just for that, or emotional issues or relationship issues, and I can work with all of that. But in any case, if I'm focusing on helping people align with their passion and unblock them to be able to carry their work out into the world, I mean, it's going to spill over to everything.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that is something that I can help them with, and it's a team effort. We do the work together. But I'm just really struck with how it's harder for me to access my sovereign self when I get on Facebook Lives, for example. And I mean, I think I'm getting better at it, but it's not natural for me, whereas the other is more natural.
I mean, in all fairness, Sharon, it's not natural for me either. Like, when I'm with a client and we're talking about their business and we're talking about creating an offer that's compelling, that lights up their soul, that transform lives, that feeds them and feeds their bank account and all of that stuff. That's exciting. That's easy. Transferring that live, one, I think we get better over time. And I I think we all have to figure out what's going to make it easiest for us. So, I see for myself, I used to over prepare, like a lot of over prepare. And then I was like, okay, I'm not going to over prepare anymore. I'm going to have bullet points. And now, like, my next edge is coming up live without, like, having some basic idea of what I want to talk about, but letting it flow more. And so I think, like, when we're talking about showing up in this way and marketing, essentially attraction marketing, putting ourselves out there, we're really talking about doing it in increment. Like, here's where I am. What's the next thing that I could do that's still in alignment with myself and my soul and what feels good to me, but is going to stretch me? And then we stay there for a little bit. And then we do this. And then we do this. And then we do this. And I think the more we do it, the easier it gets. The other thing I tell clients and that I do myself is always to take a little bit of time before we go live or before we meet with a client or go on a sales call or any of that, to actually connect and start embodying and sensing energetically our sovereignty, and not
Yeah.
expecting it to just show up when we go live, but actually getting into that sense of being the sovereign leader of our work, and the soulful um, steward of our gift, and we're here to serve, and we literally have to claim our own authority before anybody else is going to give us the credibility. We have to own it first before we earn it, almost. And then we come forward on that sales call, on that live with that client from that place of authority by stepping in it and having a practice. And everybody's got to define what that looks like for them. What's your practice of embodying that sovereignty for yourself?
Yeah, it's like exercising a muscle, right? I mean, if it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't get used, we don't, it atrophies. It doesn't work for us. But yeah, I'm really struck with how challenging it is, and how this is my approach too, is the inside out. I always think of inside out. We need to many people put their emphasis on the exterior, and I think as empaths we're always worried about what other people think. I know I am always, what does somebody else think about me, or what do they think I should be doing. It's a lot harder in some ways to go inward, but it seems backwards in our culture that we put everything outward, and it needs to go inward first. That's been my own experience. I know I would not be here today if I hadn't have done a whole ton. I just about used a curse word. A whole load of personal work.
I think I used the word shit already. Uh,
Yeah, you did.
it triggers entrepreneurship triggers our stuff, but yes, we have to do a lot of work. And I think this is the aspect of entrepreneurship being its own spiritual practice. But what you say is very true. When you think of a ripple doesn't come out from outside in. A ripple always comes from inside out. And I think as we clarify who we are, as we step into our own authority, into our own power, that power, that it's almost like we become a magnet, or a radio signal. We start essentially sending out that authority, that passion. I'm back to this concept of aligning. You talk a lot about aligning with your passion. Passion is the thing. There's nothing sexier than passion. And I don't mean just on a sexual level. I just mean somebody who comes live or starts talking about what they're excited about, what makes them come alive, is going to magnify people to them. It is automatic. But when you are in your passion, the part of you that is afraid, the part of you that feels small or silent or invisible or stuck, is essentially not the primary part. When we are in our passion, automatically the part that comes and is at the forefront of our being, and that part that we're speaking through, is a much more sovereign, lit up, energized, part.
Well, it's cool you said about the radio signals. I like the water ripples too, because I love oceans. But the radio signal, that's often how we can think of energy work, right? This energetic, literally signal that we're sending out. And like I tell my clients, we never think twice. We know when somebody's angry in the grocery store and they're like way at the end of the aisle, you could pick it up. It's like, I'm going the other way. I can feel that. I mean, we take it so for granted a lot of the times. We have little antennas that we're picking stuff up all the time. But yeah, I really feel that you're right on there with all of that. And I forgot what else it was that you said that made me think, oh yeah, because that's a lot of your gift is putting words and metaphors that really speak to the issue. But again, this inward outward approach
Mm-hmm.
to life and business, I think is critical, and the authenticity that comes with that, because then, like you say, people can really pick up, oh, they're really being real. They're being, I think I've had comments like that. You're so real on your lives, and it's like, well, how else would I be? This is me, right? But it's taken a lot of years for me to peel off the layers of shit. I'll say it online here. Oh, wow.
I'm proud of you, Sharon.
Ding, 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 ding. It layers and layers of it that cover up our authentic being, which essentially is love at its core. I mean, just think of what a different world it would be, what a better world we all know. If everyone could embody love, there would be no war, there wouldn't be no killing. We wouldn't do that. It just
Or
wouldn't happen.
judgment, or rejection, or any of those things that us as sensitive, soulful entrepreneurs struggle with. And I think, when you bring up love, I think this is a really important topic. I think for those of us who are the stewards of our gift, we have to love what we have to offer, the transformation we have to offer to people. We have to love people and wanting to help them more than we want to stay safe. And
Bingo.
I think that ends up being what it's about. We're all scared. It's all uncomfortable. I don't know, in all fairness, I mean, I work with a lot of people. I can't think of a single person who's like, yeah, I love going live. Yeah, I love putting myself on the internet for people to like look at me and critique. No one loves it. And yet I think we love people and we love our work and we love being of service more than we love staying safe. And when that shift happens, then there is a loosening, there is a willingness to show up, to go from comfort to courage, and to essentially be a steward of what we were put on this planet to do in some ways, and to be an emissary, a movement of love and serve in whatever ways we can.
I love that, comfort versus courage. That
Mm-hmm.
that a good topic right there. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, what lights me up is doing this work. And so I know other people who do it too, or do their modalities, and they're so excited about it, and they want to share it with other people because they know the power of it. They know the possibility of the shift that can happen. And, of course, it's individual for everybody. It's not again, a cookie cutter type of approach, but well, so what keeps you going, Ilsa? I know we talked about resistance and how people can self-sabotage themselves. And, how do you keep yourself in balance and going as an entrepreneur? I know for me, it's a huge challenge because I'm an empath. I need to be in nature. I need to be around, that energy, and sound is very healing for me. So I know I need that balance.
Yeah, and I think all of us need to have our own specific way. For me, I have learned that when I'm in resistance, it's actually information. It's either a part of me that that I'm not listening to, or, I think a lot playfulness, enjoyment, ease is very important to me. Like I like to call myself a lazy entrepreneur or lazy marketer. You know, I
Hardly.
like things to feel good. And if they don't, and I'm pushing, there's only so much that I can do that until I start to self sabotage or just shut down. And so, you know, for me, I think I'm back to this concept of love. I'm back to, and it's not just love for our gift and love for our people, it's also love for ourselves. And being able to give ourselves permission, you know, I'll use myself as an example. I meant to go live today and I got caught up with clients, and then I would have gone live before our
You are
interview.
like,
Well, I am live. I guess that's true. I meant go live and do a training. Um, and you know, I was kind of beating myself up a little bit, you know, like I could have organized my time better, I could have done. And then at the end I was like, you know what, I didn't start a business to beat myself up. I didn't start a business to be a slave to Facebook. And I'm going to give myself permission. That doesn't mean I get let myself off the hook and I don't show up. I'm going to find a way, and this is often time my question is, what is an easier, more fun way to show up? And I think a lot of, you know, entrepreneurship is not easy. And we forget that healing, transformation is playful, it's creative. And if we don't bring that to our business, it will not be sustainable. So for me, the way I keep myself going is if when I need a break, I take it. And then I ask myself, how can I show up again more powerfully, with more ease, more playfulness, more creativity? And then I find my way back to that. And I think for me, you know, what has been, you mentioned like not having the right message sometimes, not knowing how to speak in on social media. I think it's really important for us soulful entrepreneurs. We know how to walk our talk, but we've got to learn how to talk our walk,
yeah,
because on social media, that is essentially what you're doing. You first have to find the right words to speak your passion, to speak your sovereignty, to speak your gift, so that people are magnified to you and want to actually experience the walk. So you have to learn to talk. And I think that's not always easy for us because we're just so good at what we do that, you know, it's not always easy to put it into words.
yeah, totally on that for me as well. Yeah, articulating what it is that we, what is our gift, articulating what we offer, and you know, trying to speak to the people that we want to be speaking to. It's
Mhm.
looks easier than it is, as we both discovered. I
Yeah.
mean, we've both been kind of at this for over a year now, at least,
Yeah. Long
as
time. I
entrepreneurs.
mean, I've been at it for even longer than that, just in offline, trying to figure out who exactly are my people, exactly what it is, what problem do I solve, what is the tangible result or transformation that I offer, how do I speak to the people I want to attract and not everybody. I mean, I think that's a major, and how do I explain what is it I do and what is it that they will get and how they will be transformed once they're done working with me. I think that's one of the major aspect of all soulful entrepreneurs is, especially online, the work no longer speaks for itself. We have to speak for it.
Oh, that's quotable. I'm writing that down. But yeah, that's so true. And I was going to say this is actually one of the reasons why I asked you on, because for me this is an idea of fun, funning it up,
Mhm.
the fun factor in a live, because I often feel alone when I'm just talking to the void, the void out there, and not knowing, is anybody even care that I'm on here? And it really doesn't matter in a way, and in another way it does, because we're giving our lifeblood, we're giving our energy and to our message. So
And I think
yeah.
that's where faith comes in. You know, I will share this. I think it's a very noisy market out there on social media right now. There's a lot of stuff happening, but I will tell you from personal experience, a huge amount of my clients have never said anything on social media to me. I'll get on a call with them and they'll start talking to me, and I realize that they've watched my lives, they've watched some of the trainings I've put out, but they've never actually said anything. So we assume that just because we don't have a huge amount of comments or hearts or all the stuff, that people are not watching us or hearing us or benefiting from what we have to say. And that is just not the truth. Oftentimes, the quietest people are actually the buyers, and the
They're
people
the
who
empaths.
actually do a lot. Yeah, the people who do a lot of talking, a lot of sharing, a lot of, like actually participating online, are not always the people who are going to actually take the step and commit to transformation, because
You're
there's
right.
only so much we can get.
Sorry. Yeah, I just had that happen just last week. Somebody said, I'm one of those people that never comments. I'm a lurker. She described herself as a lurker.
Mhm.
And yet right away, she had to talk to me and line up some sessions. So yeah, I mean, we never know. That's the truth. And if we believe in the quantum field and in energy, what we're putting out there is reaching who it needs to reach.
And it's
So
coming back.
yeah.
Like, as you know, I like this idea of the tsunami, that
Yeah.
sometimes, it takes a while. It's like compound interest. It takes a while of continuously putting ourselves out there and creating goodwill and sharing our message and sharing our gifts until we start seeing the wave come back. And on the contrary, with a tsunami at first, like, it can feel like the water is actually receding. We're actually seeing less engagement, less movement. And I've seen it over and over and over with people. It's about the moment that they're saying, okay, I was about to swear again, forget this, it's not working, I'm done. And they quit too soon. They quit too early. And they're literally, it's like movement is coming towards them, but they quit too soon to actually see it. So, there is something, and this is where the passion, the love comes in, is it's the only thing that is going to sustain us long term and in a consistent way, so that, our people have an opportunity to really find us. It takes a while to get that ball rolling.
Well, when you say tsunami, I don't know if I want a tsunami.
Well,
A little wave.
and when I say tsunami, you're right. Sometimes it can be an overflow of clients, which that has happened to me. But sometimes, I mean, tsunami, just by, like, we start actually seeing whatever we've been putting out starts coming back.
Mhm.
And, this is the beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur. You get to decide what that looks like. You get to decide how you want to work with people. You get to decide how many people you want to work with. You get to decide what you want to charge. You get to decide if you want to do, 4 1-hour sessions a month with people, or you want to do two 90-minute sessions, or you want, to do a group program. You get to decide. Like, this is back to that sovereignty. You play by your own rules. You are the master of your reality, of your business.
Yeah, that's great. And you just demonstrated another huge strength of yours, which is figuring out packages and pricing and all of that, along with your gift for gab and messaging and all of that. So yeah, gift for gab. We could talk for hours, right?
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
We have.
So
We have
we
to
have,
talk for hours.
we have. That's all right. But we're not going to talk for hours today because other people may have plans for the evening if they're listening.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, if anybody wants to contact you for further support for finding out what their message is, how would they reach you?
I mean, I'm on Facebook. My name's written down under my face. I would just put myself in there. You will find my personal page. You can find my group on my personal page. But I do a ton of stuff on my personal page. You can message me. I'm really approachable. I love to chat with people, and I do offer right now. I don't know how long I will offer them, but I do offer right now a Soulful Success activation session where I meet with people for an hour and just go over, like, their business or where they're wanting to go, what's in their way, and what they need to create and shift to be able to get to, essentially the kind of business that's going to really nourish them, transform lives, and create financial independence for them.
And
So yeah,
that's
the easiest way is just put my name in the search in Facebook, and you will absolutely find me.
yeah, that's cool. yeah, you're just gifted in so many ways, and I want to encourage people to contact you if they would like more of you. It's so generous of you to offer a whole hour. I know people have been transformed with just that hour with you.
Hmm.
So just to wrap up, I just wanted to also share that if anybody wants to get on a call with me for about half an hour, I can diagnose, we'll say a diagnostic of where the blocks are in your system, in your energy system, in your body, and we can talk about how to unblock those, and I can customize sessions for you to help you with that. And it would be my pleasure to help you in whatever way I can. But you need to get on a call with me so we can talk further about that. And you know where to find me as well. So anyway,
Yeah,
thank
and
you
I
so much.
highly recommend it. I mean, Sharon helped me with visibility, my business, and who I show up as, like in my sovereignty is a completely different now than it was months ago before I worked with Sharon. And it didn't take that much. Like I said, I think strategy is important, but if your energy is misaligned, if you're totally blocked and in resistance, or you're afraid to show your heart and your soul and your passion, then it doesn't matter if you have the right offer. It doesn't matter if you have the right strategy. It doesn't matter if you can sell, even with authenticity and integrity, it won't work. So if you know that you've been trying to do this for a long time and you just feel internally like something's in your way, what have you got to lose? Get on a call, figure out exactly where the block is, what's happening, what childhood wound is keeping you stuck. Because in the end, we are the steward of our gifts. And it is our response, it's not just our right, but it is our responsibility to take them out to the world. And if we know that there's something in our way that's holding us back from doing that, then we have a responsibility to commit to getting that cleared up.
I couldn't have said it better. Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
having me.
Oh, it's been great. Love
This
it.
is a lot more fun than going live, by the way.
I know that's the whole point. And so I know I'm going to be doing this again, and you'll probably be on again with me at some
Yeah,
point, I'm sure.
maybe we can switch. Maybe you can come do an interview on my page and my
Oh,
group. Yeah,
that'd be
this
cool.
feels like it's a lot easier. I don't have to think of anything. You just give me the prompts and I start talking.
and I don't have to do the talking. All
It's true.
right. Well, thank you so much, Ilsa.
Thank you,
Have,
everyone. Thank you, Sharon.
have a good
Lovely
evening.
having you and being here.
All right. Take care. Till next time, everyone. Have a good evening.